All right, I'm going to do a real quick example of how to create an image for screen printing with, let's just say it's a 2-color print on a black shirt, and we want white and red ink. So I don't even know what we're going to use, right? Let's just do 2000 pixels by 2000 pixels, and the background's going to be black. So there we go. Let's say the graphic is going to look like, I'm just throwing it out there. There's going to be a white circle. Create that with the marquee tool, the circle tool, and then drop a white down on there. We'll, let's see, use the shrink tool. We'll drop 24 pixels in and switch the foreground and the background. Stroke that selection with, let's do 10. And so now we have this. And then let's do, I don't know, we'll do a 20 pixel paintbrush either side. We'll just make it like a little bit larger on each side, or offset. And then let's do the red now. The red would be this square here, and let's say this outline here, and then we'll do one more thing and just put like ace. Let's do capital. Ace is easier than capital. I don't know what ace stands for. And I'm adjusting the distance between the letters. Let's do this one up a little bit, and this one out. So let's say we want this printed on a t-shirt, and let's do one more thing. I'm going to flatten this out, and I'm going to add this red to the C. So to do that, I have to use this color selection tool, the eyedropper tool, and then I'm going to fill this. Boom. Now I want to make this a t-shirt, right? So in screen printing, if you're printing on a black background, you need everything here. Everything that you see that's a color needs to have a white background, which is called a flash screen. So our flash screen in this case is going to be, like I said, all the color you see here, anything that's white or red. So what we have to do is use our color selection tool. And so as you can see, this automatically selects the color that I choose. So I chose the white one. Now to choose the next color, I would hold down the shift key, and that'll bring up the using the color tool, selection tool again. We hold down the shift key, and that gives the little plus there. Then we select that, and boom. So now that we have that selected, we can let's drop the background back down to black, just to make sure that when we deselect this, or that when we copy it, that we know that we've cut all the color out. And we're going to go paste it. So now when we make that a new layer, yeah, see, so there's still a little bit of white left around. That's okay for our intents and purposes right now. I'm just going to go ahead and select all and delete that. So this is what we have left, right? So this is our color that we selected. Now, what I want to do is I want to create all this red. I need that to be on its own layer, right? Because that's going to print down on top of the white ink. So what I need to do is take my color tool again and select the red. Whoops. I got to select the right layer first. Select the red, and you can see it selected all of it. It's pretty good, pretty close approximation there. So what I want to do is two things. First off, with this selected, that's the tool that's the red we're going to copy up to the next layer. What I want to do is create a new layer first. Create the new layer, and then what I'm going to do is use the drop bucket or the paint bucket tool. Boom. And why did I do that, you might ask? Well, I'm making the total white screen, right? That's what the white screen is going to look like. And there's the red. So the white screen is going to look like that. There's the red. So we're not done yet. What we got to do is we have to go back down to the red screen, or to the both color screen, and we're going to take the red out of it. So I'm going to I'm going to cut this out of here using the cut tool. So now we have this, and I'm going to paste. And now we have another layer. So what that does is, there's my white that I cut off, or that filled in originally. And what that's doing is I'm going to move this layer back down to the bottom, along with the white. So the red sits on top, the two whites are on the bottom. And then basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to merge those two. So it's this is the white, and this is the red. Now, there's one more thing we should do if we want this to print correctly without having white bleed through on the bottom. And this is, I'm doing this with cheap, free software. There are programs that do this for you in a heartbeat, I know. I'm just doing this as maybe it might help somebody out there who is wanting to do this for the first time or whatever, and wants to do it in a cheap way. What you do is, this red is going to be hard to register exactly on that white. So what we want to do with the red is make it a little bit larger than the white that it's going to print on, so you don't have to worry about getting the registration to the exact pixel down, right? So there's two ways you can do it. What I would prefer doing in this case is going down to the white screen, and we can see where the pixels are dancing here. I'm going to go down to the white screen and use the stroke or the shrink command, and I'm going to shrink the selection by 3 pixels. Okay. Now, the red is going to print onto the white where the C is. We know that. And that's not going to be a problem because the white's there. But on the other areas, say this area here and this area, I don't want the white to be bleeding out all the way out to the edge. So what I'm going to do is delete the white at the edges here, so the red will print properly every time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the erase tool, and I'm going to make sure my selection is pretty large. And the reason I'm using the erase tool is because I don't want to erase where the C is. I just want to erase on this outside edge. Uh-oh, that's the wrong way. I got to invert the selection first. And so, no, that's not what I want to do either. Okay, so I need to get in tighter here, and I need to adjust my erase tool down so I don't get to the rest of the white. And I need to just... Now there is another way to do this that would probably be much faster. I could actually just stroke the selection with black, and but this way is much more easier to understand, I would imagine. Once you get used to using GIMP or Photoshop or any of these programs that are layer oriented, this type of thing here becomes second nature, where you understand what layer you're on and where you're operating at all times. So it becomes just innate. You know what you need to do with what layer because you know what 3D space you're in when you're using, or what layer you're in. So now we have a tightened up white where we erased out around the white a little bit so that the red can sit down on top of it. And I will adjust the opacity here just a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. So here the red is going to print over and bleed over onto the black, and then the white underneath is going to give you this margin of error whenever you're setting up the print. So you're not having to worry about registering it exactly onto that white. So I learned how to do this during the rubylith days, which means I was cutting things by with a X-Acto knife, a swivel knife, and it was hot, and I worked in Florida, so it was there was a lot of stippling by hand with ink onto film and cutting rubylith and all that. So this is the way I learned to do. I didn't learn to do it on the computer, but I translated the old school work from the early 90s and late 80s to using programs like Photoshop and now GIMP. And I like to use GIMP because it's free. So anyway, So now we have it here. This is what it's going to print like. The red's going to go down on top of the white. The white is here. The red is here. If you pull the opacity down a little bit, you'll see that it's going to overlap the white really easily here, and we're not going to have any white coming out underneath of it, which is exactly what we want. With the C, we didn't have to worry about it because it's printing right onto the white. So now the last thing you have to do is, and you should do, is create a registration screen. And by that I mean we're going to use, we're going to create our own little registration marks. And this is a new layer, so I'm going to use the stroke tool. 10's fine. And then I'm going to use my paintbrush tool. The stroke was 10, so let's do 7. And anything you want, really. I mean, it doesn't really matter. But so if that's the registration mark, then your other registration mark is going to be the same thing. I'm going to do a little bit more black here so it's easier to see. And let's bump up the... So there's one. And then we're going to duplicate the registration marks. I'm going to put this one down here. And then here's our registration marks. So I'm going to merge the registrations together so you can close them up, turn them on, turn them off. And then the red screen is going to be duplicated, and the white screen, I'm going to duplicate them. I'm going to save them both by turning both those visibilities down off. And the white, I'm going to invert it. So now it's black. And the red, I'm going to, let's see what we can do with the red. Let's colorize maybe. I can't really remember what to call it. Can we do? Nope, I guess not. There we go. So that's it in a nutshell. Now you have your red screen, your white screen, red screen. And if you want to go even further, you duplicate your registration marks if you really wanted to, and you can merge them, and then you merge again, and so then you have one, and then you have the other. Yeah, that's it. That's how you do it. But again, you know, there's no, this is a cheap way to do this. I'm kind of telling you how it would work based on my previous printing experience. I know if somebody was a professional and looked at this as a graphic artist, they would say, no, you shouldn't do that. It's so much easier to do it this way or that way. But I think, you know, using this program, again, which is GiMP 2.10.14, I believe, this is free. It's freeware. You're not having to worry about using paying Photoshop fees, Adobe fees every month. You're not having to worry about going to somebody and having them do this for you. You can do it yourself. It just takes a little bit of stick-to-itiveness and learn how to use GiMP, and you can do it all yourself. Again, we just created this graphic. It's only been like, what, 12 minutes, something like that? 15 minutes. And we've created a whole logo and separations for it. So that's really the way it goes. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments. I'll get back to you. And I'm just starting to do this type of thing here on YouTube. So leave me a little slack, you know, if I'm getting something wrong or whatever. Just trying to help out. I'm going to be doing a lot more of these types of things because I feel like all the things that I know that I've learned in my head over the years, I should probably start passing that stuff on to other people just to be a good human. So, yeah, so that's about it. So there's our graphic, and then there's our white screen is there, and now the white screen looks like that, and then our red screen is there, and the red screen looks like that. That's about it. Turn them all back on, and here we go. That's it.